Well,
Yeah,
that's great. Thank you.
there we go. Okay. Can everybody see?
Yeah.
All right. Hello, Gavin.
How's are you?
Thank God. Thank God.
Hey,
Thank God.
what's for supper? I can smell something, eh?
Are you cooking again, Gav?
I have to be honest. I bought halloumi salad from upstairs from me,
Well,
Fat
I'm
Larry's.
sorry.
Or at least show us what you're eating. I mean, it's like
No, you crazy.
Okay, we're ready to roll. Now let's. Oh, Stevie's not in this, so I thought he's connected. There we go. Hello, Steve. There we go. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So this title intrigued me, so I thought it would be good to look at. So the title is Smichat HaPasuk Avot Kun LeParshat Navi Sheker. That the juxtaposition of the verse that we must cleave to Hashem to the paragraph that deals with the Navi Sheker, with the that Navi, the one who lies. Okay. The Slonimus says the following: Ki yakum b'kirbecha navi or cholem chalom, v'nasan alecha osim hafes. That if it should come into your midst a person who is a cholem chalom, he dreams dreams, or he's a navi. So he's somebody who's presenting a certain story that he says, and he brings an utum of faith, some type of sign, some type of symbol, or some type of wondrous, like magical stuff. So it says, "Lo tishma divrei hanavi." You're not allowed to listen to this navi. Ki menaseh Hashem Elokeichem eskem, because it's through this person that who is testing you. Zarei Hashem Elokeichem telechu. And what must you do? You must walk before Hashem. V'oto tirau, v'et mitzvotav tishmeru, and you must fear Him, and you must keep His mitzvahs. V'kol tishmu, and you must listen to His voice. V'oto ta'avodu, and you must serve Him. V'bo tadabkun, and you must cleave to Him. Okay. And this prophet that is what we call a Navi checker. He's a lying prophet. He's not a person of real integrity. So such a person, so he will. So it's a bit strange the way we have to understand it. That it's a bit strange because the psukim seem to bring, like, we get mixed up. Like, why in the middle of everything does this whole idea of what is Abkun mix up? Yesh lavin b'psukim elu api amuva b'sfarim akadoshim the tachlis kol haTorah v'amitzvos the mitzvahs of what is back. So we have to understand that the way these psukim are structured actually give us the the fundamental of the Torah, and that is the mitzvah of Kubotid. We have to cleave to Hashem. Avat Hashem with Dveikus Hashem. The whole idea is love of Hashem and cleaving to Hashem. Mitzvahs hem atim va'etzot lagia al yadam v'botilva. And all the mitzvahs, all 613 mitzvahs are there to do what? In order to be able to give us this like the roadmap to this concept of cleaving to Hashem. You know, the Parshas Akev Nemru by Psukim B'inyan Dveikus. In the Parsha of Akev, there were two psukim that spoke about the inyan, the idea of Dveikus. What it Hashem Elokecha tira or Tota Avod Tidbak. It said Hashem Elokecha, you must fear Hashem and you must serve Hashem, Tidbak, and you must cleave to Hashem. V'sof Parsha Neemar, and at the end of the Parsha it says, De'avat Hashem Elokechem, to love Hashem. To walk in all his ways, and to cleave to him. The fact that this concept, this tzivui, this exhortation to cleave to Hashem, that Ava and Yira, which are the Yesodei of the Sodim of the Torah, right? Those are the things that bring us close to what seems to be what the Slavic is the Torah, and that is to be able to cleave to Hashem. Saying Yesh Lavin. Why do we have to? Why does it have to say it again in our parsha in the middle of the Navi Sheker? And not only that, how come around the concept of Votidbak are also these 6 other things that are mentioned? Acharei, Hashem Lokechem Telechu, V'ototiru, V'et Mitzvotav Tishmaru, all these things, you must walk with Hashem and fear Hashem and do His mitzvahs, etc. Then it says the Votidbak. Okay, so that's a powerful question. We also have to explain what Chazal is saying. What does Chazal say? What does it mean to cleave to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Is it possible for us to cleave to the Shekhinah, to cleave to Hashem's presence? But the pasuk says that Hashem Lokechem is an Eish Ochla. Hashem is a fire that burns. Ella. So how do we cleave to Hashem? What do we have to do? We've got to cleave to those people who represent Hashem in this world, namely the Talmidei Chacham. And the Gedolei HaMefarshim, that's Rashi says. So ena kavana lo etzi amikra midei pshutoy shu adveikus b'Hashem. You mustn't take it out of its simple explanation of dveikus to Hashem. Ela she'elehi. What's the real question? Eich yacholim lahagia lakach. It's not that you mustn't keep to Talmidei Chachamim. That's not the shaila. That's not what Rashi said. What we're saying, what the Gemara is saying, is that it's the means of being able to reach the point of the Hashem. How do we do that? We do that via the Talmidei Chachamim because Hashem is an Eish Ochla. Hashem is a fire that burns. That's why it says we must connect to the Talmidei Chachamim. Why? Shadveikus, but Talmidei Chachamim. Because through our connection to the Talmidei Chachamim, that's how we get a Dveikus to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's how we keep to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But Tarek Beer says that you need to understand. I call Tarek Mitzvah same Eitslavi Lebotid Muyuchad Avav Yira. He says, I don't understand. What do you need the cleaving of the Talmidei Chachamim for? You've got the whole process of the 613 mitzvahs, and you've got Ava and you've got Yira. Why do I have to connect to the mashma kanshizu? It seems to imply that that's like the greatest way that we can possibly cleave to Hashem, which means it's the greatest way we can achieve that ultimate goal. But what about all the process of the mitzvah? That's really his question. Let's explain the matter. Al pi ma da amar the Sfarim HaKadoshim Degel Machane Ephraim. Parshat Eikev, he says, he'll tell you what the Degel Machane Ephraim says the following in the Parshat of Eikev. On the pasuk that says, "Umaltem es orat levavchem v'arpachem lo tikshu od." It says Hashem will he'll circumcise the uncircumcised hearts, v'arpachem lo tikshu od, and our necks will no longer be stiff towards him. Rabbi Kesher, and now to understand the connection between the two parts of this pasuk, two other Aldavasha Shema. This is according to what we heard from the Best. Okay. Sorry, I was just got my daughter on my lap here. So he says, from the Best, the following. Something happened in a place. That they asked through a letter to the Rambam. How do you know that Tchias HaMeisim is from the Torah? And they said, and the way that the Chazal explained the psukim, he said that they wanted to interpret the psukim that Chazal explained in a different way, and not to give us the ability of Tchias HaMeisim from the Torah. But rather he himself didn't want to answer them. But he told his Talmid to answer. Why? Because the way a person works is that whatever he eats and whatever he drinks, that turns into blood. and the blood goes down into the liver, and the liver goes up, and then from the liver it goes up into the heart, and from the heart into the brain. And that's where seichel is, and the chiyus adam, like the life force of the human being. V'nimtza shekol chiyus adam he so ultimately, we find that our life force comes from what? From what we eat and what we drink. In other words, if we follow that process through the from what we eat and drink. Who is careful what they eat, and elevates and sanctifies the way they eat, according to the Torah. But Al Pi Darcha Hashem Torah. Now, Dam Torah. That's where you get this pure blood, this Dam Torah. Va'az kol achios va'aseichel shel Torah, and then his life force, his seichel, he says, and true is the opposite true. A person who's going to eat forbidden foods, and those that are tamei, nase damor dam tamei, your blood's going to become tamei. That people eat, that's where the strange ideas come. Right? Atanoim ha'amoraim v'chachmei ha'mishnah zichotchu v'tiru etzmam ad sheshat aleim ruach hakodesh. Says that's why the Tanoim and the Amoraim and the great the wise men of the Mishnah, they purified themselves until they had this level of ruach hakodesh. Why? How? Hishamru atzmam mima'achalat asos, because they were careful what they ate. And not only they were careful what they put in their mouth, but the intention of what they ate was the Shem Shemayim. And therefore immediately he gives you lekivan alamitas das without Torah. So because their intention of what they ate had such purity in it, therefore what they ate led them to this incredible ability to connect in das Torah. Says the Rambam, these people who sent me this letter, which had this kfirah in it, for sure, eating treif. And therefore their blood has become all tummy and all terrible. And because that their blood is problematic, therefore their brains are no longer thinking like Eden. So therefore they see different things in the Torah rather than from what's actually written in the Torah. Then because they have such others panim, they have such arrogance, then what's going to happen? They're going to find themselves in a space of courage. It didn't, and it wasn't long before they were all killed. That's the story from the Rabbah. Okay, and that's what the pasuk means when it says that you will circumcise the oil of your hearts, and your necks will no longer be hearts and stiff neck. The oref is corresponds to the face and the turning of the face. The inyan panim, because the concept of the face, that's emes. When you put a person in the eye and you can speak to them straight, that's emes. And when you turn your face, then that's not, it's difficult. Some people find it very hard to look people in the eye when they're talking to them. So that's a self-esteem issue. There's all those things, but that's what he's saying. That the orif is the image because you're trying to hide something. So that's the opposite of truth. And the Torah is telling us through the process of circumcision of the heart, and what happens? Then the blood becomes tahor. Yes, then you won't be able to turn your head anymore. Why? You won't see anything that's not true in the Torah. But if you don't do that, then you'll see the opposite of emes. Okay. Therefore he says, he says, in the same way as he wrote about what we eat, the inappropriate traits, whatever, says it's not only on food, it's on other things. Nitma hadam meratek Hashem Yisbarach. Misrachek, sorry, Misrachek Hashem Yisbarach. Says because when we get like the desire, the burning of our blood, like the burning to do an avera, so then our blood becomes tame and distances us from Hashem. Moshe Kasa, the Mesilas Yesharim, and it says in Mesilas Yesharim, at the beginning of the book, after he's explained that Shetachlis Laman and Nivra Adam, Tachlis Kol HaTorah HaMitzvos, Irakat Vekus, that ultimately the Tachlis of everything is the Vekus. Moshe Amar David Vani Karaf Elokim Litov, as David HaMelech says, to Hashem li tov, that's good for me. Katan od. Also, it says, "Bnei shmo HaKadosh Baruch Hu, shmo HaKadosh Baruch Hu, la'adam b'makom sherabim boy, ha'marchikim ha'osom b'meni yisbarach, ha'em ha'atayvas ha'chmur." That HaKadosh Baruch Hu has put us into a space where there are things that distance ourselves from Him. And what are those? Those are our tigers, our physical tigers, our physical desires. They distance us from the goal of what we're trying to achieve. Behind it, what does that mean? Anytime that we have a desire in our blood, i.e., in a physical desire for something, then what? Those things distance us from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Might be. It might be a Jew works so becoming connected. He doesn't reach anything. Why? It's a powerful idea. It's because he might have this dam tameh. Even though ostensibly a person seems to be a Torah observant from person, but what's happening is that he has tigers, he has deep physical desires, and those physical desires distance him from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So even though he's trying to grow, nonetheless that growth is not happening, and that distance is maintained because of the tiger connected there. That's why Hashem gave us the mitzvahs. No, you can't do that. The more, as it says, Asher Kedishanu b'mitzvotav, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sanctified us with His mitzvahs. Shekol ha-mitzvahs echnisot kedusha b'yudi. Every single mitzvah we do brings kedusha into a Jew. Metaharot et damo, and what do? They metaher adam. The mitzvahs are able to somehow purify our blood of a Jew, and in doing so, they bring us closer to the Kodesh Baruch Hu. And the main ones that do that are the mitzvahs of Avat Hashem and Yirat Hashem, that Meviim Ka'amor Ledveikas Hashem. That those are the ones that bring us closer to doing it. Tachlis Kol HaTorah, and that's ultimately the purpose. And the purpose, we often think that the mitzvahs, and this is what he's saying, we think that doing the mitzvah is the goal, but it's not. Doing the mitzvah is the process whereby we are able to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even though we may not be, even though we sometimes succumb to our desires or even feel those desires. The mitzvah is able to purify that. Okay. Therefore, he says, says that's all the stuff that is within our stuff. That through the boiling of blood to do an avera, our blood becomes tamei. You can't reach that level of the vekas. And he says that's what the mitzvah are given for, as we said. There are some things that distance, not from because of the person themselves, but because of some external cause that gets it. For example, the environment. The environment is a very powerful thing, and we know the environment can damage us. As the Kamosha Amar, after Rebbe said, "Le'achad shehitlonen b'fanav al machshavot b'inyanei emuna." Somebody who complained about certain thoughts that he had in matters of emunah. I'm just going to make it a bit bigger so we can see it that side. She'ena machshavot halalu shelo says that these issues that he's having in emunah are not his issues. They're not matters that he has himself. Ki im machmat shcheno hapagum bazeh she'idbik gam oslo. But rather they're coming from his neighbor. That somebody who around him, because that often happens. People put doubts in our mind. That's part of I suppose, part of the issue of the Lashon Hara. We start having doubts about the people that we know. And that's what the Torah says. When a Navi arises from within your midst, not fear that's coming from the person themselves. In other words, not his own theological dilemmas. And I hope and pray that we all have theological dilemmas, because I think we do. We all
Is it me or is it frozen?
I think it may be frozen. As soon as he said, I think we all have theological dilemmas, then everything stops.
Yeah, that's when it went to, yeah.
Yeah. He said we all have and we should have theological dilemmas. And then you got punished.
And then it's left us with food for thought now.
No, you got punished. Okay.
Yeah.
Altman says he's coming back on now. Just be patient.
sorry. My daughter's switched off the plug, so I lost everything. Okay. I'm not sure where we were up to.
You said we should all have theological dilemmas, and then you got cut off.
Yeah, Hashem was.
Yeah.
Okay, so we all should have. The truth is,
Sorry, can you share your screen, Rabbi?
Say again.
Can you share your screen?
I will. I'm just going to come back on my computer as well. That we all should, in some way, have dilemmas that force us to rethink everything, because that's how we grow. And often what we don't realize is that
Frozen again, I guess.
Yeah.
Somebody pulled the plug again.
Okay, we're back. Sorry, guys. Okay. Sorry. Lawrence, yeah. Okay. Okay, there we go. Done. Okay, can everyone hear me now? Are we back on track? Can you hear me,
Yeah.
guys? Are you back?
We're
So,
back. We're back. We're back. We're back.
We're back. I'm back. Please God, we're all back. Okay, and even Hodaya is back. I'm not sure who the host is in this thing here. I'm trying to find because I need to get back on screen here.
Errol's the host.
Errol, would you mind making me the host?
Looking me to do that.
I don't remember how. If you go
You want me to
to
go off and
if you go to participants, hold on a minute, I can actually. I thought I made myself the host. If you go to participants,
I don't see you there. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, are you the host?
I am. Yes, I am. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Sorry. Okay. So, there we go. Okay. So we're saying. So he says, but it's all very nice that we have our own stuff, but the thing that the real concern is that the Torah says that you've got Yakum Bekir B'cha Navi, Tahani Kfir She'enu Navas Meha Adam Atzmo. It's kfir that's coming not from the person, ki im Mahmat Navi Sheker, but rather it's coming from this prophet, Hamei Tuma B'chol Ha'avir Laharchik Yehudi Me'ashim, who's trying to bring Tuma in the whole environment in order to distance Jews from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'matzav kazeh, and in such a situation, kasher kol hasviva mele'at tuma, when or the whole environment is filled with tuma, lo dai b'tayigitim. It's not enough that we have the 613 mitzvahs and the crowns that come with them, all these things. Ella, tzarich lischadesh michadash b'chol yoseh l'satorah ha'klulim b'pasuk zeh b'ofen na'alev yoseh. Then we need to actually renew everything, our entire commitment that's mentioned in that specific pasuk. In other words, when there's such a powerful influence from outside, it's not enough just to say we can get it from the mitzvahs, but rather we have to look and we say, Acharei el Hashem Elokechem teilechu. We've got to walk with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What does that mean? She'inyano tara hamidot. And that means that we've got to work on our midas. As the Gemara says in Sota, is it possible for us to follow Hashem? Hashem is a burning fire. Ella, what do? We've got to halach achar midotav shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We've got to go. We've got to follow the midas of Hashem. Mahu rachu mafatah rachu. We've got to change the way we are in order to combat that negative environment. In the same way, Hashem is a rachum, He's compassionate, so too we must be compassionate. Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu mal bisharumim. In the same way as HaKadosh Baruch Hu clothe the naked, so too we must clothe the naked. We must visit the sick. We must do nichum avelim, etc., etc., etc. Af atake, and so we also have to do that. For oto tirau, what does it mean that we have to fear Hashem v'et mitzvotav tishmeru, and that we must guard His mitzvahs? Uvakola tishmau, and we must listen to His voice. What does that mean? Perish uvakola tishmau. What does it mean? Ma mosif al ve'et mitzvotav tishmeru. How does it add to say we must listen to the voice of Hashem before they already told us that we must guard the mitzvahs? He said, no. Shema yisodot haTorah lishmo et kol Hashem hayotzei mitoch kol ha'meoraot. What does it mean? Such a beautiful idea. Is to how do we hear the voice of Hashem? We hear the voice of Hashem. The voice of Hashem comes from. Yes. It's Sarah's. Sorry. The voice of Hashem comes mitoch kol ha'meorot, from things that happen. we can hear what's happening, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, if we are able to tap into just world events, everything. It says that the only reason why these thunder and lightning is there just simply to put us on the straight and narrow. In other words, we should be able to hear the voice of Hashem from what's going on in the world around us. That through everything that happens, we should be able to hear the voice of Hashem. It doesn't mean that we must serve Hashem and we must cleave to Him. That when there is this false prophet who is matame the whole environment, what we have to be mechazek from new is how we serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a fascinating idea. What he's saying is that for when we are so challenged by this powerful force that fills our avira, that fills our environment with the negativity, with negative forces against Yiddishkeit, what we've got to do is not just do another mitzvah, but rather we have to revisit how we view our world in order to kind of like strengthen ourselves in the very essence of our yesod, of our foundations. And now we can understand. And now we can understand why it says that we've got to cleave to Hashem. That it means that we've got to cleave to Talmidei Chachamim. The Avsha b'ofen ragil, normally called Taryag Itim v'Ava v'Yira Haim Eitzes L'Dvei. Normally you've got 613 mitzvahs, you've got 613 crowns, and we've got Ava and we've got Yira, and those are the things that give us the capacity to connect to Hashem. Aval kashegorme atuma hemitzad asviva. But when those who are causing tumah are not coming from inside, but coming from outside, from the environment, and its tumah is just prevalent in everything. It's like going to the Democratic Conference. So how do we connect to Hashem? That is how that's through Talmidei Chachamim. That why? Because then you have two contrasting powers. You've got the power of the Tumah, and on the other hand, you've got the power of the incredible Tahara and of the purity of the Talmidei Chachamim. Keneged Tumah mitpashet mitzad anashim, from the people, from the Tumah that's coming from that certain Anashim Ra'im that come from these terrible people, because they are great tzaddikim, because they bring a high level of kedusha. So you have these two forces that are contrasting with each other, and we've got to connect into the force of the Talmidei Chachamim, because that's the powerful force. The concept of tshuva is as follows. It says, Shuva Yisrael ad Hashem Elokecha. Return Am Yisrael to Hashem. What does that mean? Ad sheyagia ledveikis, until we get to that point of absolutely cleaving to Hashem. And from what we've learned from that Rambam, if you remember, the Rambam was the one who got his Talmidim to answer the question, and you're saying that those people are so tumatic, and that's why they're thinking like that. In every detail of a Jew's behavior, in the way he eats, in the way he drinks, in the way he sleeps, in every single thing that we do, we build the platform, we build the building, we build the foundation, all of these things of this concept of Uvot Tadabkun. And that's why he wrote in such a hectic way. And so that's why the Rambam wrote that on the one hand, the things that we eat and the things we drink and the things that we sleep, in other words, the things that we put into ourselves, those reach us to their level. Say again? So all those things, those get us to the point of Dabkun. But if we do the opposite, what happens is that those things bring us to the negative thoughts about Torah. So how do we start our tshuva process? He she'adam yireh reishit kol letaher atzmo kima me'adam tamei. The first thing we have to do is get rid of the dam tamei, of this tumadika blood inside us. Shim lo kain. If not, that's not the case. Hara eino ro'eh klal ma she'alav lirot. Because then, if you don't do that, we can never achieve what we want to achieve. But bechinas einaim lehem v'lo yiru. Because then it's like we say in Hallel, einaim lehem v'lo yiru, that these the avodah zarah has got eyes but they don't see. Oznaim v'lo yishmu, they've got ears that don't hear. She'eino ro'eh v'eino shomea klal. To get to the point that we're not hearing anything. We're not hearing anything that we need to hear. V'haTorah kadosha, and the Torah, the Holy Torah, He Torah Hashem malemet orchot chaim. The Torah teaches us how to behave in our lives. But Parsha Zu, and this Parsha that has to be with this concept of the Navi Sheker, of this prophet that is a lie. But right, what meramelet lanu Torah kadosha al zmanim kedoreinu teaches us about times like our generation now. He says, Shekashe Yudi Yotzeh L'Rechov. But a Jew goes out into the road. La'heichen shehoylech v'heichen shenimtza sharui bein dvarim hamarchikim memeni yisbarach. We know that. We can define this in so many different ways. But we go out into the streets and we're faced with enormous challenges. Challenges that are the way people dress, the way people speak, the language that people use, besides all the other stuff. But all of these things are real challenges, and they because they're an outside force, they really impact on our ability to connect with Hashem. As we said, the things that distance us from ourselves, within ourselves, from our physicality. And all these things like that, that's what it says in Mesilas Yesharim. But there are also things that impact on us because of the environment. And the way the world is thinking. Like the world right now is thinking. It's so krum. It's unbelievable how krum the world is thinking. So somebody today told me about a book. I can't remember exactly what the book's about, but the parasitic mind, I think it's called. But it's about how the world narratives become so entrenched in our thinking that we are unable to think in any other way. And that's exactly what he's saying. He says that the world presents us with such terrible thoughts. The world of this wokeness and the acceptance of everything and everything's okay and all this stuff. That's not a Torah way of thinking, right? I'm not saying we mustn't be fair and understanding and compassionate, but just to accept everything from the beginning to end, that's not a Torah way of thinking. We have boundaries in everything. So how do we deal with this? We've got to actually start to hold tight on the very, very foundations of Torah, but often you're saying on an even higher plane, on a higher level. And how do we get to that? Through cleaving to Talmidei Chachamim. When we high timer from this reason, that's why the Hasidim. Now, it's such an interesting thing. Like we as generally as Ashkenazi Jewry and definitely Yekkers as well. Right? We always have the Rav, the Rosh Hashiva, the Rav of the town, or whatever it is, but we don't have the Rebbe. It's not our thing. But he's saying that's why the Hasidim find the Rebbe as such an important thing. And sometimes we don't really understand it, because the Rebbe is the Yesod Musad. He's the thing that they can reconnect back into the core. To connect with these great tzadikei emes, these truthful tzadikim. And also not only to the people of the Rebbe, but also that the friends and the environment that they're connecting are people of Yireh Hashem. Because that's the way we're going to fight that. That's how we're going to reach this point of Dveikus Hashem. And so therefore, I think what is so amazing about what he's saying is that his power in this is for us to understand that we that internally, the battle against these negative thoughts or contra thoughts is doing mitzvahs and working on our Ava and Yiras Hashem internally. Mitzvahs give us a sheged ishanu b'mitzvotav. However, when it comes to, I will put on you. But however, when it comes to the outside forces, it's not enough for us to rely on our own strength. What we need to rely on is two things. We need to rely on our connection to tzaddikim. But in addition to that, and I think this is the most powerful part, it's a connection to our environment. What does the community bring? What the value that community, a community of people who are constantly growing, bring is that they also create an environment, or that community also creates an environment that is going to be an environment that enables us to counteract the negativity. And I think that's our biggest challenge, is as because we have let's call it and I'll keep speaking about this, but something that's really bothering me. We have this modern approach. Sometimes we forget that we need to really focus on the modern Orthodox or religious Zionist is focused on the religious or focused on the Orthodox more than the modern. The modern's there, the Zionist is there, all of that stuff's there. What we don't have and what we have to bring into our lives is really that concept of Dveikus to Hashem, or this deep connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm going to come help you wash your hands. I'm just giving a share. Give me a second, right? So please God, we should work on that. We should build on that and build with each other and be able to be honest and frank with each other when we see these challenges and ask for that help to counteract those. Okay, I'm going to help you now. So have a good evening. Sorry, I'm being called on the other side. Shkach, guys, this, as I said, is going to be our last night on Zoom because we're starting an Edel program, please God, next week. So Bezrat Hashem will be together face to face, perhaps even with a good cholent next week. Have a good night, everyone, and thanks for joining.
Thanks.
Thank you, Rabbi.
No, cheers.
Wow.